going on, guys? It's Tommy Two Beers, Tommy Strohbusch, whatever you want to call me from the Green 19 podcast. And today, got a special one for you. It's an audiobook, The Anniversary to Remember. Stay tuned. Chapter 1, April 17th, 2027. The storm arrived before dawn. Thomas woke to the sound of rain tapping softly against the bedroom window. At first, he remained beneath the blankets, listening to the steady rhythm. It was kind of peaceful rain that normally made him want to go back to sleep for another hour. Then he remembered the date, April 17th, 2027. His wedding anniversary. 1 year earlier, he and Gwen had stood together beneath a clear spring sky and promised each other forever. Since they had faced challenges, celebrated victories, and built a life together that neither could have imagined when they first met. Today was supposed to be a celebration. A special weekend away from work, responsibilities, and the noise of everyday life. Thomas sat up and reached for his phone. 6:14 a.m. Outside, the sky looked unusually dark for morning. Gray clouds stretched endlessly across the horizon. The weather forecast has predicted light rain, but this looked like something much larger. Beside him, Gwen slowly opened her eyes. "Happy anniversary," she said with a sleepy smile. Thomas leaned over and kissed her forehead. "Happy anniversary, babe." For a few minutes, they talked about their plans. The lodge, the mountains, maybe the hiking trails, maybe the hot tub overlooking the valley. Everything just seemed perfect. Neither of them knew where they were about to drive into the most terrifying experiences of their lives. By 6 a.m., the truck was packed. Bags filled the seats. Coffee sat in the cup holders. They had a long drive ahead of them. The GPS estimated about 19 hours to their destination. The location was a remote mountain lodge near Libby, Montana. The listing had described it as a peaceful retreat surrounded by pristine wilderness. Tom had specifically chosen it because of how isolated it was. No traffic, no crowds, no interruptions. Just nature. As they left town, the rain intensified. The windshield wipers worked constantly. Fields slowly gave way to forests. Small towns disappeared behind them. The farther they traveled into Montana's wilderness, the more isolated they became. Eventually, Gwen looked out the passenger window. "Have you noticed something?" "What?" "We haven't seen another car in a while." Thomas glanced in the mirror. The highway behind them was empty. Completely empty. Not a single vehicle. No headlights. No movement. Just miles of wet pavement stretching into the distance. "That's weird," he admitted. Neither said much after that. For some reason, the silence felt heavier than it should have. Around noon, they stopped at a small gas station outside of nearly an abandoned town. Only one pump worked. The building looked decades old. A weathered sign hung above the entrance. Inside, an elderly man sat behind the register reading a newspaper. When Thomas mentioned Black Pine Lodge, the man's expression changed. Only slightly, but enough for Thomas to notice. "You're staying there tonight?" the man asked. "Yeah." The old man folded his newspaper. Outside, thunder rolled across the mountains. For several moments, he said nothing. Then he looked directly at Thomas. "If weather gets bad, stay inside." Thomas laughed. "That was the plan." The man didn't smile. "Stay inside no matter what you hear." A chill ran through Thomas. What does that mean? The old man simply returned his newspaper. Conversation over. An hour later, they continued toward the mountains. Neither of them mentioned the gas station again, but neither forget it either. As the road climbed higher into the wilderness, the forest grew denser. Towering pine trees lined both sides of the road. Dark clouds blocked most of the sunlight. Everything looked beautiful and strangely unsettling. By the time the Black Pine Lodge finally appeared on the ridge ahead, both Thomas and Gwen felt relieved. The trip was over, or so they thought. Chapter 2. The Black Pine Lodge. The lodge stood alone against the mountainside. Massive pine trees surrounded it on all sides. The nearest neighboring property was several miles away. From a distance, the building looked incredible. It resembled something from a luxury travel magazine. Large stone chimney, handcrafted log walls, wide wooden porch, huge windows overlooking the valley. The sort of place people would dream about staying. Yet the moment Thomas parked the truck, something felt wrong. He couldn't explain why. The feeling arrived suddenly, like an instinct, a warning. The rain had stopped, yet the forest remained strangely quiet. Too quiet. Thomas stepped out of the truck. No birds, no insects, no wind, nothing. Only silence. Gwen noticed it too. "Listen." Thomas did. There was absolutely no sound coming from the woods. Thousands of trees surrounded them, yet somehow the forest felt dead. He forced a smile. It's probably because of the storm. Maybe he believed that. Maybe he didn't. The interior of the lodge looked beautiful. Stone fireplace, vaulted ceilings, rustic furniture, warm lighting. Everything appeared normal. For nearly an hour, they unpacked and explored. Then Gwen found the photograph. It hung above the fireplace, old, black and white, and faded with age. The image showed a family standing on the front porch of the lodge decades earlier. A husband, a wife, and 2 children. Everybody was smiling. Everyone staring directly at the camera. Gwen moved closer, then stopped. "Thomas." Her voice sounded strange. He walked over. "What?" She pointed toward the women in the photograph. Thomas stared. His stomach tightened. The women looked exactly like Gwen. Not similar, not close, exactly. Same face, same eyes, same smile. It looked like someone had somehow photographed Gwen decades before she was born. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Outside, thunder echoed through the mountains, and somewhere deep in the forest, something moved. Watching, waiting, knowing they had arrived. Chapter 3. The Journal Beneath the Stairs. Neither Thomas nor Gwen could stop thinking about the photograph. Every few minutes, one of them would glance toward the fireplace. The resemblance was impossible. Around 3 p.m., Thomas decided to distract himself by exploring the lodge more thoroughly. The building was older than he expected. Some parts of it looked decades old, despite the recent renovations. While examining a storage closet beneath the staircase, he noticed something unusual. One of the floorboards was loose. After several minutes of effort, he managed to pry it open. Inside was a small leather journal wrapped in cloth. The cover was cracked with age, and the first page was dated April 17th, 1977. Exactly 50 years earlier. Thomas sat down and began reading. The early entries described a married couple celebrating their anniversary at the Black Pine Lodge. At first, everything seemed normal. Fishing, campfires, mountain views. But as the pages continued, the writing became increasingly frantic. The couple reported hearing footsteps outside at night, knocking on the windows, voices in the woods, and a figure standing among the trees, always watching, always smiling. The final entry stopped Thomas cold. It knows our names. It calls to us after dark. If anyone finds this journal, leave before midnight. That was it. No explanation, no final page, no record of what happened afterward. Only silence. Thomas felt a knot form in his stomach. Chapter 4. The First Knock. The rain returned shortly after sunset. Heavy drops slammed against the windows. The mountains vanished behind sheets of gray water. Inside, Thomas and Gwen cooked dinner and tried to enjoy their anniversary evening. For a while, it worked. They laughed, shared stories, talked about future plans, but beneath the conversation, tension remained. The photograph, the journal, the strange silence outside. Then at exactly 8:17 p.m., someone knocked on the front door 3 times. The sound was loud enough to shake the walls. Both froze. The lodge was miles from the nearest road. Nobody should have been there. Another 3 knocks followed. Slow, deliberate. Thomas stood and walked towards the door. Gwen grabbed his arm. "Don't! It's probably someone stranded." Yet, even as he said it, he didn't. He believed it. He opened the door. The porch was empty. Rain fell steadily. No footsteps, no vehicle, no person, nothing. Thomas stepped outside the forest, stood motionless around him, dark, silent, watching. Chapter 5. Eyes in the Forest. At 9:03 p.m., Gwen looked out an upstairs bedroom window. She immediately stepped backwards. A figure stood among the trees, tall, motionless, roughly 100 yards away. Its shape was unmistakably human. Yet something about it felt wrong. The proportions seemed off. Its arms appeared too long. Its posture was unnatural. "Thomas!" By the time he reached the room, the figure was gone. Only darkness remained. But they knew Gwen had seen something. Later, while checking on the perimeter with the flashlight, Thomas discovered footprints. Massive footprints. Far larger than his own. Each impression was deeply pressed into the mud. The tracks circled the lodge, then disappeared into the woods. Chapter 6. The Story of the Black Pine Ridge. Unable to relax, Thomas searched online using the weak satellite internet connection. Most information about Black Pine Lodge was ordinary. Rental listings, tourist reviews, photographs. Then he found an old newspaper archive. The article was dated 1977. His heart raced as he read. A married couple celebrating their anniversary had vanished near Black Pine Ridge. Search teams never located them. No bodies, no evidence, no explanation. The names matched the journal. The same couple who had written about those hearing voices in the woods. Thomas continued searching. His blood ran cold. There had been other disappearances every 10 years. Always around April 17th. Always near Black Pine Ridge. Always involving visitors. Chapter 7. The Power Goes Out. At 10:41 p.m., the lights died instantly. Darkness swallowed the lodge. Only lighting illuminated the rooms. The storm outside had intensified into something violent. Wind screamed through the mountains. Trees bent and twisted. Thomas grabbed a flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, then lighting flashed. For a fraction of a second, they saw someone standing outside the living room window. The figure from the woods, closer now, watching them. When the darkness returned, it was gone. Neither moved, neither spoke. Another flash. Now the figure stood behind the porch, even closer. Chapter 8. The Voice Upstairs. It's 11:20 p.m. The temperature inside the lodge dropped dramatically. Their breath became visible. Frost formed on the glass. Then came the voice. Soft, gentle. A woman's voice.
Samis?
His blood froze. It sounded exactly like his mother. Not similar. Exactly. The voice came from upstairs.
Thomas, come upstairs.
Gwen stared at him. She had heard it too. Then the voice changed. Now it sounded like Gwen. Then Thomas. Then strangers. The same words repeated over and over and over. Come upstairs. Neither moved. The voice continued, growing closer and closer and closer. Chapter 9. Midnight. 11:58 p.m. Everything suddenly became quiet. No wind, no rain, no voices. Nothing. The silence felt unnatural. Almost alive. Then footsteps echoed overhead. Heavy, slow, deliberate. A floorboard creaked. Then another. Something was walking through the second floor. Something very large. Thomas aimed his flashlight towards the staircase. The beam trembled in his hands. The footsteps stopped. A shadow appeared at the top of the stairs, watching, waiting, smiling. Chapter 10. The Thing in the Lodge. The creature descended the staircase one slow step at a time. Each footstep caused the old wood to groan beneath its weight. Thomas tightened his grip on Gwen's hand. Neither of them could look away. The thing's pale eyes reflected the flashlight beam like an animal standing beside a highway at night. Its smile stretched impossibly wide, too wide, far beyond what any human face should allow. Then it spoke.
Thomas.
The voice sounded exactly like Gwen. Not similar, exact. The creature tilted its head. Gwen. Now it sounded exactly like Thomas. The thing continued forward, one step, another, closer and closer and closer. The air became freezing cold. Ice spread across the windows. Pictures rattled on the walls. The entire lodge seemed almost alive with fear. Then suddenly another voice echoed through the room, a familiar voice. Joe, Thomas's father. Thomas, don't listen to it. The creature immediately froze. Its smile faded. For the first time, it looked angry. The voice came again, this time Mary Jane. Stay together. Then James. Don't let it separate you. Thomas looked around in disbelief. The voices sounded distant, almost like they were coming through a radio. But hearing them gave him strength. The creature screamed. The sound rattled every window in the lodge. It knew it was losing control, and that terrified it. Chapter 11. The Fire in the Mountain. The photograph above the fireplace suddenly changed. The smiling family disappeared. Now the picture showed Thomas and Gwen standing on the porch. Behind them stood the creature, and beside them appeared 4 more figures: Joe, Mary Jane, James, and even Scotty, their loyal dog. The image looked wrong, as though the creature was trying to claim all of them. Not just Thomas and Gwen, everyone they loved. A terrible realization hit Thomas. The thing wasn't hurting people. It was hunting families, collecting them, keeping them forever. It was the same thing as the other family 10 years ago in the journal. The rage inside him replaced this fear. Without hesitation, he ripped the photograph from the wall. The creature lunged. Thomas threw the photograph into the fireplace. The frame shattered, the image bursting into flames. Instantly, the lodge exploded with noise. The creature let out a scream, unlike anything either of them had ever heard. The walls shook, windows shattered, the floor trembled. Outside, lightning struck the mountainside. For a moment, the entire valley lit up. And in that flash, Thomas saw something impossible. Hundreds of shadowy figures standing among the trees, all watching, all trapped. victims from decades past, the families who had disappeared, the couples who had never returned home. As the photograph burned, those figures slowly began to fade, one by one, like prisoners finally being set free. The creature shrieked in pure fear. Its body twisted and cracked. Dark smoke poured from its skin. Its smile vanished. Its eyes filled with panic. Then with one final scream, it disappeared. Gone. Completely gone. The storm outside ended instantly. Silence returned to Black Pine Ridge. For the first time all day, the forest sounded alive. Birds, wind, branches moving. The mountain was finally free. Chapter 12. The Anniversary to Remember. The final chapter. Sunrise arrived beneath a clear Montana sky. The storm was gone. The clouds had vanished. Golden sunlight spilled across the mountains. Thomas and Gwen stood on the porch together. For several minutes, neither spoke. They simply watched the sunrise. They were alive. Somehow, against all odds, they had survived. Later that morning, they drove away from the Black Pine Lodge. As the lodge disappeared in the rearview mirror, both felt something strange. Peace. The fear that had followed them all night was gone. The weight had lifted. Whatever haunted the mountain had been destroyed. A week later, they returned home. Waiting in the driveway were Joe, Mary Jane, James, and even Scotty. The moment Scotty saw them, she sprinted across the yard. Her tail wagged so hard, her entire body shook. Gwen laughed for the first time in days as Scotty nearly knocked her over. Joe wrapped Thomas in a big hug. Mary Jane immediately wanted every detail of the trip. James jokingly asked if they had been attacked by Bigfoot. For the first time since Montana, everybody laughed. A real laugh. The kind that drives darkness away. Months had passed, then years. Thomas and Gwen never returned to Black Pine Lodge, but they never forget it. Instead of letting the experience haunt them, Thomas decided to write about it. Every terrifying moment, every mystery, every impossible thing they witnessed. He spent countless minutes at his desk writing, revising, remembering. Eventually, the story became a novel. A horrible novel inspired by the anniversary that changed their lives forever. The title was simple: The Anniversary to Remember, written by Thomas Strohbusch. Thank you guys for watching or listening to my audiobook. If you like what you see, drop a like and subscribe to the Green 19 podcast and be ready for some more. I also have a beer channel that I just created. It's going to be on YouTube as well. It's called Strohs and Beers. Give it a follow. Peace.